Hey y'all, it's Sim here, back with another episode of the Monday Motion, and I'm very happy to announce I'm here with one of my good friends, the founder of Our Bright Future Inc. and the author of Across the Atlantic, Kwasi Acheampong. Thanks so much for joining me, man. It's been a long time coming for this episode, so I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother, for having me, man. It's like you said, it's our journey together goes a long way, and I'm happy for you to have me today.
Yeah, of course. I know I'm gonna full transparency. I had some technical difficulties with my laptop, so sound quality on this one we're gonna work on and see if we can get a little bit better, but we're still getting it done and we're in here. So I'm happy to get it going. Like you as you know, this podcast is about more on the business side of like what you do and things like that. But I think that you have a really cool story to share on how you started. And I think that would be a really good place to start this podcast is just you talk about kind of how you came up, then, how you came up in your childhood, but also how you came up and found entrepreneurship as what you were going to do in your life. So could you just talk a little bit about your background and how you kind of came across what you do now?
Yeah. So born and raised Ghana, West Africa. Worcester State University. Went to school for accounting. I didn't mean for none of this to happen, but my upbringing, I believe, sometimes you are exactly where you're supposed to be. That's what I would say, in life. As the journey took me, I think I was obedient to whatever God had, set up for me, and it worked out fine for me. My father was a dreamer and decided to bring 10 of his kids and his wife to America. And, when you have 10 kids and a wife, it's not easy. So he found some low income housing where, we get a 3 bedroom house where there's, the parents' room, the boys' room, the girls' room, bunk beds everywhere. And as I try to make friends in America, I met a friend that Maria, and I knock on her door as a kid and saying, "Hey, let's come outside, let's go play." And as I walk into her house, her mother was laid out with a needle stick in her arm at the age of 10. That was one of the most, life changing things that happened to me where I had to look myself in the mirror and understand that this is not the journey that I want to take. And, I want a different route. Maria and I went did 2 different routes and, eventually we connected in life. And, a couple years after I heard that she overdosed as well, kind of went through, substance abuse herself, kind of went the route with her mom. So kind of open my eyes a little bit as an adult and saying, hey, how can I give back to kids that the young 10-year-old Kwasi and, looking for a way out, want the right journey. How do I create a path for them to go on that path? And that's how I kind of started Our Brave Future as like a side gig
Hmm.
to help the community. But eventually I think it became, consuming and, and as we started adding more programs to it, as the robotics, the 3D printing and such to it, I believe that people started to put eye on it and kind of took off and I had to make a choice, either, pursue accounting and, do more tax seasons or I'm going to go this route and where I could help, follow my passion and help the kids that I wanted to.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it's always been about for you, I feel like it's always been about giving back and I really appreciate that. And even like it goes further than your company and like what your company stands for. It goes into like the way that you live your life. I've found is like you like to help people grow in any way possible. Even me as somebody that was one of your staff at the time, I found that you wanted me to learn new skills and
Yeah.
having a leader that just wants that for somebody, it shows that you really care. So I wanted to say, first and foremost, man to man, I really appreciate what you did for me because you made me think outside of the realm. My stubborn ass always wanted basketball, and you're like, okay, but like what other skills can you learn to put yourself in a better position? So that's something that I really appreciate that you did for me, and I see that you do for these kids, as well. You mentioned your tough kind of start in America. I know I had a tough upbringing myself around drugs, and it really speaks to your resilience. Can you think of a time in business in particular where you had to also show that same level of resilience where times maybe got tough and didn't work out your way and you had to wonder, okay, is this for me or things along that nature? Is there anything, a story that kind of speaks to more of the business side of being resilient?
I think COVID was the biggest thing, I believe, for everyone. It kind of challenged you. But for me, I think that I made that jump 3 months to go full time to do Outbreak Future. Um, Not much money in the account, but I figured I'm gonna bet on myself. I'm just gonna go. 3 months later, COVID hits. So he really got to look in the mirror and say, okay, so, you made the choice. At the time, I had two kids. So how do you can sit there and cry, and I watch other people's businesses shut down pretty much. And I remember my wife looking at me. He's like, "You're not gonna give this up, are you?" It's just like, no, this is what I chose. This is what I decided to do. I gotta grind it out. So in any business in the area, I reach out to them, and thankfully, what was happening at the time is as they were laying people off, some of the businesses was trying to get some funds as well too, right? So
Mhm.
they didn't have to spend money overhead. Most people are going remote. So because of that, they have some funds that they can give to nonprofits as well too. And I just happened to be perfect time to knock. And if I just stayed, quiet and cried and shut down, I would have never had that opportunity. That kind of helped me. I just happened to be right there in the doorsteps at the same time, and it kind of went in together.
Yeah, it's that's I hear that a lot. Like as much as it is hard work and resilience, it's also being in the right place at the right time. That's why I always personally emphasize networking. I think that whenever you can go to networking events, whenever you can go meet like-minded people, you're putting yourself in the best position to win. So that's kind of that's the reason I started this podcast too. Is I want to network with the people that I otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to talk to on a daily basis. So it gives me the opportunity to do that. But like if you create your own business, you have something to offer somebody, and that's something that I think is really important. It's like you have a conversation with somebody that they might be either a high value person in your industry or something along those lines. If you're just working, you don't really have anything to offer that person. When you have your own asset, you have something to offer them. So that's something that I really emphasize for my viewers, and I think that's really important. Speaking of things to offer, you recently came out with a new project. You're working on a book. So or you worked on a book. Is it releasing, or is it soon, or is it
Yeah,
already
so
out? Or
May 15th. Yeah, we have a
Mhm.
date, launch date to do the ebook on Amazon, May 15th from 12 to 1. We're gonna do the launch where if you purchase the ebook for $2.99 on Amazon, that will help us become Amazon bestseller. So we try and get as many people as we can to download the book on May 15th. But
For
this
sure.
journey is a different one.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I the why is the biggest thing, right? Why would you write a book? That's what everyone asks. Why are you writing a book, right? In the
Mhm.
sense of it. The stories that is cool, but I think that the message I'm trying to get out to the world is the biggest thing, right? Like, so life is a roller coaster. We all went through something hard, right? I could have a rich kid, with all the money in the world, but they don't get to see their dad. That's their struggle, right? So
Mhm.
as the kid that might have worse, it might be let and say, oh, must be nice, but you don't know they don't get to see the dad, and that's just struggle, and that's the hard thing that they have to go, they have to overcome.
Mhm.
So through my story, as I'm overcoming, all these situations, I'm trying to give a little messages here and there. I don't want to spoil it, but I want to kind of you understand how life works. So it's sometimes it rains, sometimes it feels like it doesn't stop raining,
Mhm.
but life goes forward. How do you keep moving? Right. And
Right.
in any bad situation you're in, if you keep going, I always say that some of the things that I live by, this too shall pass. Right. Good times,
Mhm.
bad time, whatever it is, this too shall pass. And if you
Mhm.
keep thinking that, right, while I'm in the good times, I try to enjoy it. I'm always happy. My wife will say, you don't think negative. There's nothing negative. You have to look at it this way. It's like, no, I know the negative part of it, but I'm gonna be as happy in this situation as I am because I know bad times will come. Then I could be sad if I want to, but in this moment of happiness, I'm gonna enjoy it fully and be as happy as I can because this
Mhm.
too shall pass. And that's how I kind of try to look at life as I move forward.
Yeah. And a way that I kind of like to say this, a similar thing is life comes in waves, and whatever the season is, it's either meant to help build you up, or it's meant to reward you. But whatever season you're in,
Exactly.
it's all about resilience. It's all about still getting after it. And I see you doing juggling multiple different things like like the rest of us entrepreneurs out here doing a thousand different things at once.
Right.
But you know, in doing that, you get your rewards and you get your time, and you know that's awesome. So go check out the book, everybody. I want to make sure everybody goes and checks that out. I'm definitely gonna go buy a copy myself. I know you don't want to share too much about it, but what I will ask you is like, what was, do you have a lot of an experience living in Ghana, or did you leave kind of at a really early age? Did you have like a you know, a lot of memories out in that area?
Yeah. So we moved when I was what, 10? So my humble beginnings, I would say it, right? Like that's the best part of it.
Hmm.
So from obviously being born till 10, it allows is still in me. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things why I think big reason why who I am, right? So I'll give you one now. So our neighborhood that we grew up in Ghana,
Hmm.
all of us, and it wasn't just us. That's one of the cool things that made me understand. I didn't know I was poor till I came to America. Right? You don't
Hmm.
understand you're poor till I came, right? So every single house in that neighborhood had a bucket, big bucket, a rain bucket.
Hmm.
So if you, I don't know, you might see more this more down south where the water off the roof will go off to the bucket, right? That was our drinking water,
Hmm. Wow.
right? So it goes off the roof and goes in. Or you go to the river, you fetch water, you put the water in your head, you carry it home, and you dump it in the bucket till the bucket's full. Right,
Hmm.
that's what our chores were as a kid, to go to the river and get, and there's no filter system and such. You just grab a cup, scoop it and you drink. And that's what it was. And everyone did it.
Right.
Everyone around us was doing the same thing. So it wasn't like, oh, somebody had some more privilege in the situation. So it made it kind of, equal field. So seeing that, come old, and I'm older now and I look back, I was like, wow, like that is crazy. Think about where we could just turn the water on, right? We could turn the hot water on.
Hmm.
As how we come in from taking a shower and the hot water's now on, and we complain that, it's not hot enough. Where
Right.
they don't have that option, right? And if they want hot water, they have to boil the water and then, use the bucket to shower, right? So I didn't
Hmm.
get my first bed till I came to America, and it was a bunk bed, and I had to share the bottom bed with a brother because there's so many of us, right? So,
Hmm.
um, but there was no complaining, there was nothing like that because, like I said, everyone around us is how everyone lived, and it really made me, as humble as I am today.
Hmm. You said you grew up with a lot of with a lot of people. I can speak to that myself, not to the same extent, like of that, but also just I was personally the youngest, so I wanted to know where do you fall in the pecking order of your family? Because I know you got a big family too. Are you the youngest,
Yeah,
or were you?
number 7,
Oh, you were number
lucky
seven.
number 7.
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
So if you're on the if you're on the younger side too, I know what it feels like of like you feel like you got something to prove too. That's something I can speak to. Like I had to get over that. Like yeah, I want to prove something to myself and be better than I was yesterday and improve my living situation. But
Yeah,
that's something that I personally felt being somebody that was in a large family. I don't know if you can relate to that at all, of just
yeah.
feeling like you gotta have something to prove all the time, being in that situation and being one of the younger siblings.
Yeah, so I got to taste both sides, right?
Hmm.
So when we got here, two of my older brothers already left. So now it's like my sisters, and then I have my oldest brother at the time that lived in the house. He was a freak athlete, right? Like he was like he wake up 5:30 in the morning, go for a run.
Hmm.
Right? It's like what, like free working out, sit ups, push ups, right? Like so sometimes you just watch.
Hmm.
You just watch, right? So he when he was a senior in high school, I was what, 7th grade. So I'm just watching. I'm
Hmm.
watching what he's doing, everything he's doing, right? So him getting all the spotlight. I'm being called his little brother as in sports, and I'm watching. I wanted that spotlight, like you said, right? It's like no,
Hmm.
like I'm coming for that spot, right? As soon as he leaves, I know I'm sneaking in there, but I'm watching his tendencies, right? Waking up, no
Hmm.
one's telling him to wake up, no one's waking him up to go run, right? So you get up and you go run, right? And
Hmm.
same concept, but I kind of learned that from him. The flip side is now he's gone. I have all sisters and I have two little brothers now. Now I'm the older boy there. So now they looking at me. So now I'm on top of the food chain. They call the man in the house, and how now they looking at me, and they sizing me up, right? They saying, okay, right. Once in a while, I get the ball playing around. I'm begging, doing playing soccer,
Hmm.
and if they get a move on me, that's their world, right? I don't want to give them that, right? Right. So
Hmm.
it's the competitive within each other, and not to mess up in terms of even like outside of sports, of where they're watching you. So every step that you're taking, you got to be a role model for them too, as well too. So it's like almost passing it down. Whatever I learned from my brother Dan, I got to make sure I pass that down to them
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I've seen that, like, not to obviously the family effect, but I've seen you treat everybody the same way, no matter who they are, whether they're, again, one of your staff, or somebody that one of the kids that you work with. You're always trying to build up other people, and that's a quality of a real leader. So that's very evident in a lot of the stuff that you do. And I would say more on the side of the business of Our Bright Future. I know you're working out a whole bunch of different, like, you used to, I don't know how much you're doing it anymore. You used to do more of the athletic side of things, and you got into robotics and started building up more and more programs. I guess my question to you is, like, how do you continue to build and have new things for the kids to do, but also from a financial aspect, how do you continue to build on that end, doing that many different things, and succeeding at them all, whether it's the robotic side program or this, that, and just continuing to branch out and become a bigger brand.
Yeah, if you don't listen to the kids, this will never work, right? The kids are the product,
Right.
right? So the robotics, none of that. Actually, the kids actually are the product, right? So
Hmm.
if I walk in and the kid's doing robotics and he says, "Yeah, I'm bored,"
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. They have to be challenged. We have some really smart kids. I think that helps as well too, where their mind needs to be challenged always,
Hmm.
right? So I'm always looking for new things, right? But my job is to find new things to put in front of them. So,
Hmm.
it's almost when my son was born, this is what I used to say. So I fill my yard with a bunch of soccer balls, basketballs, baseballs. Eventually, you're going to trip on one of them and say, "This is what I want to do."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So if I have enough in front of them, right? So we have the robotics, we have 3D printing, we have cricket club. They could design a shirt, right? We have the sports. Put all
Hmm.
these things in front of them. You're going to trip on something. It's okay. I like this part of it, right? Let me do it. And we
Right.
got to study them too, right? We have kids that might not be able to sit still, right? How do you put programs in front of them that they might succeed in, right? They're more hands on. So if I put that kid to build a robot, they do
Hmm.
so well. But if I say go program a robot, they're like, no, I don't want to sit for that long on the computer,
Right.
right? So how do you put these kids, in the right programs? And so us doing some studies where we do a timer, right? I could put a timer on. It's okay. How long does it stay sitting down for this one? Okay, let's move on to this one. How long does it stay? Okay, this one is where this person is succeeding. So let's push them more towards that
Hmm.
as well too. In terms of the business side, one of the things I learned in this world is networking, and everything I got, it was free. It's free knowledge, right?
Hmm.
So like you said, I pass it along because right, I got it for free from somewhere else. So
Right.
be in the rooms, networking people, right? So how you treat people is how what you put in this world is what you get back. So how you treat people when you meet them,
Amen.
and then relationships my biggest asset. At 35 years old, I think relationships is my biggest asset. I could flip my phone. If I need a lawyer, I could find a lawyer. If I need a CPA, I could find a CPA. If I need whatever I need in the community, I can because my relationship with people in there. So the 5 minutes you have with someone, right? So if I have a conversation, they tell me about their kid, the kid's name. I remember the things the kid likes, all
Hmm.
these things. So when we have a conversation again, we're talking about his kid and the interests of that person, right?
Hmm.
And remembering these things and building a relationship and telling them about my life too, and then them understanding, how we connect ourselves and then building it from there. So that's what
Right.
I think relationship is what helped the business part. And as long as you keep your relationships with the right people, I think you're going to be successful in business.
For sure. You are a nonprofit too, so I want to get into, like what are some strategic ways you found to be able to get the funding to buy the robots and to get the funding to put all these on top of on top of networking with the right people and talking to them. Is there a strategic way that you found that type of funding and you're able to and you're able to finance some of these things? Is it something strategic, or is it just kind of doing what you've known to work?
Yeah. So uh, I think you were there for the beginning of this. You kind of saw where we were
Yeah.
more homework help and sports.
Hmm.
Now, mostly, how do you make yourself different? Right. So if they said, "Oh, after school programs, I'm looking for STEM after school program," right? I'm
Hmm.
one of the names that pops up. Right. So you know, I had to find my niche and just say, "Okay, this is my niche." So, and I want to be the and then master in it. So
Right.
now in this area, it's okay. I'm looking for summer camp that Outbreak Future has that STEM program, right? In the sense of it. So I want to be on top of that list as well too. And in terms of nonprofit world, honestly, it's who you know.
Yeah.
It's who you know. I could write 100 million grants. Being different helps obviously because they could see it's wow, that's a cool program as well too. But the relationship behind the people and look at it from the donor standpoint too as well too, right? I'm
Right.
giving my money to someone. If I don't know you, I don't know what you're gonna do with the money,
Hmm.
right? If I don't know someone else I know you that trusts you, why would I give you? That's kind of how they looking at it.
Right.
So for them, so you building a relationship on the other end of it, them trusting you, and every time someone gives you money and actually using the money exactly what you say you're gonna use it for, right? Not just using it for other things. So if you ask, hey, if I say I'm gonna buy a robot, I'm gonna go buy a robot, like you said, and here's your receipt, right? Right, and building
Hmm.
that trust kind of helps you, be different from everybody else.
That's that value trade-off of just like, hey, like you said, if you're gonna go and do something, or pay for something, it better be what I said I was gonna go pay for, and then
Exactly.
also
Exactly.
you might get something in return and build more of a long-term relationship that way. So I definitely 1,000% agree with that. And now I'm starting to figure that out myself. I've only started this podcast about 7 months ago, and I'm still looking to grow and things like that, but I'm finding how important networking is for that reason of somebody might be able to bring me value and be able to edit some videos for me if I do them a favor, or somebody might be able to help me in a different space in like social media marketing or something like that, and just being able to talk to the right people, bring them some sort of value, and then they might be able to give you something in return. Not that it's for something in return, but that's just the give and take of the game we play as entrepreneurs. So I 1,000% agree on that. Kind of wrapping up here. The last question that I like to ask on this podcast, it is the Monday motion. There's a motivational element to this podcast to be able to get people to start their week on a positive note. Is there something that comes to mind from either a motivational standpoint or just a mindset piece that's been able to help you throughout your own career?
Yeah, I'll say my mom, as a kid, she used to fasting, right?
Hmm.
And she would fast until 6, but she'd be like, "You guys have to fast until 12." Like, Mom, I like food. I don't want, I don't want to fast it. But what she kept saying, the message she kept saying is, if you want something, you have to sacrifice,
Okay.
right? So, like my dad, when I was a kid, it would be a Saturday. He'd wake me up 5:30 in the morning and he would say, "Come cut my hair." I was like, "Dad, I don't need to, right? Like I can cut your hair at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Why 5:30?" Right? And his message was, right, this is the time men need to get up to go to work.
Hmm.
Right. So to put it both together, right? So to kind of learn from both sides, from my parents, my upbringing, obviously, right? So survive, right? What are you sacrificing for it? So let's take the book for example of how I'm writing this. I didn't want to sacrifice my family time. I can't sacrifice Outbreak Future time. How do I write this book? Right. So
Hmm.
from 2:30 to that, to 4, that's 2 hours. So usually I work from my break. My kids go to bed from 10 to that 2:30 time, and my body says, okay, it's time to go to bed. But instead of going to bed, I said from 2:30 to 4, I can have, a couple of hours to sleep before I wake up. But that time is when I sacrifice my time. So when I'm done with my break future work, I stayed up 2, 3 more hours there. That's my sacrifice. My sleep is my sacrifice for me to write the book as we're doing.
Hmm.
I'm saying this to say, no matter what you're trying to do, right? If you're not prepared when the opportunity comes, right? And so opportunity always comes, as you knock on some doors,
Hmm.
right? But if you're not prepared for opportunity, it's not going to work, right? So doing the work, I always do the work. So when the opportunity comes, kind of, when preparation means opportunity, that's why it becomes success, right? That's why I try to make it seem. So the work is the easy part. I always say, so I'm willing to do the work, just waiting for the opportunity, but I have to do the work to be prepared when it comes.
Yeah, for sure. In the basketball world, when I was coaching, the popular phrase in the basketball world is "stay ready so you don't got to get ready." That kind of speaks to that too. It's the same type of idea of like of just put the work in, be prepared, and preparation is one of the biggest factors when it comes to presenting yourself the right way and being open for opportunities. So 1,000%.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaks
well,
so saying that I had a coach, Tony Pronto's his name. I'm gonna give him a shout out. He's changed my life in the way he doesn't even know. And I tell him all the time. He kind of just like, yeah, whatever, Kwasi. But uh, he used to play mind games on purpose.
mm,
Right, and these mind games. And his word and his quote I took from him was like, "The mind is stronger than the body. The mind is stronger than the body. It doesn't matter how many times he tells you to run. If you tell your mind you're tired, you're gonna stop. You keep running, right? So it could. I remember my senior year. My little brother's in ninth grade, I
mhm,
believe, or 10th grade, I believe, and he brings him up to varsity. He never intended to play him. He's young. But first game or first scrimmage, I believe, he starts my little brother and benches me.
oh,
Right, so he's trying to see. All right, you can sit there and pout and cry, or you're gonna say this will never happen again.
right,
Right, so and he waits. He doesn't put you back in the game right away. He waits to see how mad you are. Okay, you mad? Show me something.
hmm,
Right, and I get in the game, and then he just kind of just like, that's what I want. That's what I want every time, right?
right,
Not because I'm a senior and deserving of this opportunity. No, I want you to take it. Give me no
right.
choice, pretty much in the future. That's how you kind of pretty much a message I got from, it. And I love that, right? And I love that message you gave me in life, and I always take that. It's like you're not entitled to this opportunity.
Right.
This is something you can take as well too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I always respect coaches that are like that play those type of mental games with you and see how
yeah,
resilient you really are. Especially a lot of the high school coaches out there. They like to play those type of games. I had one in particular that like real repetitive to try to get us to break bad habits. It could have been the smallest little thing. Like
yeah,
if you got a rebound at the full court and you bring the instead of holding the ball chest level and facing up and seeing the floor, we had a lot of players
yeah,
at young high school players that would like crouch down and try to hug the ball and they would get trapped at full court and we would turn the ball over. So if you as soon as you see the ball go down low and somebody's going to like crouch, he would he would blow the whistle. All right, everybody on the line, one lap. He sees it again. All right, everybody on the line, two laps, and then like he kept stacking it up, and like just to just continue to have us, and even like it got to the point where like he'll blow the whistle and be like, all right, stairs. Now we're now we're like
yeah,
15 laps deep. Now we got to do the stairs because somebody made the same small mistake. Like
yeah,
it's guys like that they just want to see how far you can go before before you
yeah,
break. Like those are the type of coaches I really respected. So
yeah,
that
absolutely.
was somebody when I was at St. Bernard's in Fitchburg. That's where I went to high school, and that's something that I experienced when I was on that basketball team over there. But
Yeah,
the guys like that are really the people that you appreciate in life because I call it character building. They're there to help your more so than your basketball skill or more so than your athletic skill. They're
mhm,
there to help
mhm.
you build character, which is going to help you more in life than anything else. So yeah. Anything else? Anything else you'd like to add before we go ahead and wrap up here?
Yeah, I am proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. I met you a freshman year of college when you were a freshman in college, and I had this dream of starting our brave future, and I needed volunteers, and you were the first one there every time, you
Yep.
you were there before us, before we got started. That showed your character as a man right away. And then that's why we hit it off right away. And later on when I finally got some funds to pay, you're the first one I called and said, hey, can you come along? Can you bring a friend to help us grow this?
Thank you.
Because you were the first one there, the last one to leave. And I love that about you. And I can see your next life as you're going, how you're doing this now. Keep going. And, I'm always here. If you need me, you know that. Anyone in my
For
network I
sure.
can share with you. I'm already thinking already. As soon as you were talking, I might have someone to help already. So,
That'd be awesome.
um, she should keep going. Yeah, keep going, man. And I love this part that you're doing, this nerd's journey. Like I said, it might go up and down, but just keep going, and that's how life goes.
For sure. No, thank you. I really appreciate that. I want you to know this too. Like, I was really fighting for a paid opportunity in college, like a lot.
Yeah,
I had to have go, unpaid internship after unpaid internship uh, after, volunteer work. And like, you were the first person to actually, compensate me for my time at all. So I really, just to be able to go from that working for free constantly to being able to see a little bit of, reward for the effort I was putting in. I really appreciate you for that. So thank you.
yeah. That was earned, man. That was easily earned, and I
Yeah.
wish, like I said, I wish I always had more at that time too to give because, like I
Mhm.
said, the kids loved you for a reason, and gravitated towards you for a reason because the good energy you brought to them every time, and that alone, there's no money in this world to buy that, right?
For
That
sure.
alone is worth millions of dollars. Right? So just your energy, and who you are as a person and character, man. That's is a keep going, man. I think God has bigger plans for you, and He's putting you into this journey for a reason. I know
Mhm.
it's gonna work out.
No, thank you.
So
I really appreciate that. Hey, I appreciate you joining me, everybody. Like I said, across the Atlantic, go look out for that. Follow Kwasi at the Our Bright Future Instagram page, and you're on what pages are you on? You got Instagram, what LinkedIn?
we got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We'll send you the link so you can put it in the bottom for them,
Yeah, for sure.
and
I'll
also
leave.
with the
Yeah,
book
so I'll
link as
leave
well too, so they can get it.
for sure. I'll leave all the links in the description on YouTube. So go ahead and find those. All right. Thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate your time again.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.